We're going live on a late night. Going live on a late night. Let me go ahead and get Coop in the building, man. Coop is in the building. What's up, everybody out there? Yo, what's good? What's good? Real King. Yeah, man, we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff tonight, man. We're on the late night tonight. Hope everybody's good. See, yo, what's good? What's good? Everybody getting in the building. We're gonna be talking about that Ludacris and Nelly battle that's gonna be taking place tomorrow on the Verzuz Network. What's up, Frederick Hubbard? Everybody get in the building. We here on the late night. We got Coop coming in. There's Coop right there. What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Yeah, man, we're gonna be talking about this Ludacris and Nelly. We're gonna be talking about that new Future album that just dropped. Man, we got a lot to talk about in a short period of time tonight because I know it's late. What's good, man? How you doing?
What up?
Hey, man. Happy Friday, happy week, all that stuff, man.
I'll say, where's everything? Okay. All right. I'm ready, Mike. It's late night session, right?
Yeah, we got a late night session going on, man. Shout out to everybody that's coming in the room.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah, man. We're gonna talk about this Ludacris and Nelly versus battle that's gonna take place tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
It's based on the poll. I mean, it looks like people at According to Hip Hop don't really feel like Nelly has a chance against Luda.
I was surprised at how close I had it when I started like writing down some songs, and I didn't do like any guest appearances for either one.
Right. I do think that Nelly's catalog, as far as like the songs, the individual songs, are big and possibly bigger than Luda's.
They are.
I think Luda's depth in his catalog, and if we start throwing in features, it's gonna get to the point where it's really not, that fair.
I was surprised at the number of quality features that I pulled up on Nelly. Actually,
Go ahead. What are some Nelly quality features?
I mean, first of all, a lot of the stuff. Hold on, you want to know it? I actually wrote some down.
Okay.
My personal favorite Nelly feature, and it took me a minute because I forgot about this record, Here I Am with Rick Ross.
That's a good one. I forgot about that record.
You forgot about Here I Am, didn't you?
You know what? That's funny because, honestly, I think that is the record that changed Rick Ross's
career. Right.
I forgot all about that record.
Okay, so, Mike, that's what I was saying. So, a lot of, here's why it's going to be closer. And here's why I just kind of wanted to throw out Here I Am with you, because I don't want to spend too much time, like, running down, going to back and forth, because I know it's later and we have a lot of ground to cover.
Right.
Here I Am, because I forgot the record, too. And if you actually remember that time, Nelly's, like, super, super big when that record's coming out. And Ross is just, like, the guy who made Hustling.
Yeah.
Gold. And that song and that video was everywhere. And having Nelly, that was like Ross's first crossover hit.
It was. And like that whole vibe that song had.
Oh, hold on.
Ross ran with that.
Yes.
Ross ran with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because after that, we got Super High,
Yeah, that's when he started taking hits.
John Legend, Neo. Yeah.
Ross. Yeah, that's when it started rolling. Like that's when he started. Like, yeah. So that's in it.
That's crazy. I forget all about that record, and I say that all the time whenever you talk about like where Ross's style changed. It was that song, and I forget Nelly's on that song.
Yeah, Nelly's on that record, and he's not just on that record.
That is the record. Yeah,
that's one of his better verses, actually, Mike.
He has to play that tomorrow.
He has to play that tomorrow.
He has.
So that, to me, between the two of them, when I was bringing up the features, was probably the most important feature of the two that I've seen. Like, Luda has better features, like the Made You Look remix.
Okay. I don't even think he's going to go there, because I don't even think that's good. But you know what? I think that Welcome to Atlanta kind of rivals that.
Okay, so I'm going to surprise you. And this is Atlanta native stuff. Like, I was never really that big a fan of that record.
Me either. I'm a fan of the verse though.
I'm a fan of the verse. That's
Verse is
there.
good.
The verse
I
is
never understood a "Welcome to Atlanta" song with a West Coast, Midwest type beat.
that's
It
not
never,
Mike. That's not even Midwest. That's straight West.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
West.
So I never really understood "Welcome to Atlanta" from that perspective, and I don't think that the city took that song serious as a anthem per se. Maybe the rest of the nation or whatever, but sonically it just didn't mesh up, especially with what was going on at the time.
Sonically, sonically that's around the time that Yin Yang had it on Smash and Lil Jon was coming. So
Pastor Troy still had the city on lock.
and I think
Everybody,
it was fading. His lock was fading.
this was like 2001. So anybody who
Was it that early?
it was, so it was like right
Right.
after.
No. So you're right. If it's 01, you're right. Troy still got like a lot of the city on.
So yeah, at that point, anybody who was making any kind of Atlanta anthem needed to have Pastor Troy involved, no matter who you were.
You and I have had this conversation behind the scenes, and there's a lot of validity to that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how else to say it. You and I have talked. We done ran into Troy so many times just from being in and around the city. It's like, and he's such a regular, like, cool dude, and it's kind of unfortunate.
I mean, it's the game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's what it is. You're only as hot as your last hit, as they say. But
I mean, vice versa, and No More Playing GA. I mean, those are two of the better singles that's ever come out of this city's illustrious rap history. Now.
Yeah. I mean, no, they're hits in the city, but I think what happened was people just whatever deals they signed, they got bigger on a nationwide level, and then it kind of dwarfed what he was doing, and what he was just doing what he was already doing, and they just like quote unquote leveled up.
No, that's fair.
Then it dwarfed what his movement was, and it's unfortunate.
Did they level up, or did they just kind of like adapt?
I guess adapt, yeah.
Yeah.
But if those two came across each other, I'm personally gonna go with the Ross song. Honestly.
That's okay. So Luda's gonna win, but it's gonna be closer than people think because Nelly does have some bona fide stuff that we may have forgot about. I was surprised at how many of these Nelly songs I actually liked.
What's another feature you were gonna say?
There was a T.I. feature that I had written down, but it's a little...
Get Loose?
Huh?
Get Loose?
Yeah.
That was a big one. Honestly.
Okay. I really wasn't like up on either one of them when that came out, so I don't know how that record really like fared, but I was looking at that. I was like, okay.
It was a banger, but it wasn't one of those things like the Rick Ross record where Nelly kind of dominated. It was more about T.I. than it was about Nelly.
I was going to say more obscure than Here I Am, but still like well known.
Yeah.
But some of his songs, I mean, you don't like Air Force Ones?
I like Air Force. It's cool. It's cool for what it is.
What's your favorite Nelly song?
I'm going to surprise you with this one. I mean, obviously, I love Country Grammar and E.I.
Okay.
But Flappy Wings is actually my favorite Nelly song. That song was hard.
That was literally that and Tip Drill were the last two songs that I put down on this list.
You know what? Another one that was good is when he revisited his Country Grammar days, like with the what was that song with Jazzy Faye? Nah 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 nah.
I know the song you're talking
You
about.
remember that where he kind of?
Yeah, I don't know the name. I was trying to think of that. I couldn't think of the name, so it's not on my list. I still think E.I. is his best song.
I'm not mad at that.
You know, E.I. was the original first single off Country Grammar, right?
I can believe that too.
Yeah.
What songs seem to have the most legs over the years?
Ride with me. That's crazy. Yeah.
That song has the most legs.
I mean, you want to know it because you could use that for a car or truck commercial. Mm-hmm.
You never could tell what song is gonna have the most legs. Like I remember that when No Limit dropped that. Well, I guess it was technically on C Murder's album, then it was on Snoop's. However, it worked out. Well, fuck the other niggas, cause I'm down with my niggas.
Who would have known?
We liked it, but I had no idea that ultimately that was going to be the No Limit song that had the most legs.
Is it the No Limit song with the most legs, like period, Mike?
I hear it the most of all the No Limit songs from that era because not a lot of those songs really.
Make them say,
I can't tell you the last time I heard Make 'Em Say,
Okay. I mean, I'm just asking questions.
No, that was a big song for its time. It was the biggest song during that time period, but once that period was over, we didn't hear it anymore.
Okay.
Whereas that other song, we hear that all over the place.
I'm trying to think of another record to give you like something to debate with you about, but nothing's really coming off the top of the dome.
I don't count Bitch Please for obvious reasons, but I mean, technically that's a No Limit record.
No,
But I'm talking about shit that had.
it's not as big in terms of the legs. Like, how many people are playing Bitch Please still? And I like the record, but I mean,
Well, you know what? Since we're talking about this, and I think we can segue a little bit and come back to what we were talking about. Snoop wanted to go with Jay-Z. He feels like that's his bracket.
We're gonna have to get out of this light.
When it comes to, a versus battle. And honestly, outside of Doggy Style, what Snoop songs have had the legs that the Chronic and Doggy Style records have had? Am I missing something?
No, but you're asking a lot. Yeah. You're not missing anything, but you're asking a lot. I mean, that's the Chronic and Doggy Style. So
No. I'm not saying anything up to that quote unquote quality, but anything outside of 93 and above. What songs has Snoop made that has had, the legs that those records have had?
maybe not the legs, but I mean, he's got a lot of hits to play with. Jay, Drop It Like It's Hot, Beautiful, From the Church to the Palace, Vato, That's That Shit. That song he did with 40.
I heard today.
Huh? I'm sorry.
I heard Beautiful today.
Yeah.
Beautiful has a lot of legs.
I think that's his best post death row single.
It's probably one of his biggest singles, period. Yeah.
Top 5.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, I don't think it's many people that can really stand up to his catalog. If we're talking 20 songs, going 20 deep, I mean, he could just interchange a lot of things. DMX said he wanted to go at Jay too. I don't know if DMX has 20, and I love, it's Dark and Hell is Hot.
It's one of the best rap albums ever.
I think so too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like, one of those albums, if you tell me that you don't like that album or like don't care for that album, it's like I really might like stop talking about rap with you altogether. It's like, oh yeah, that was alright. It's like, hold on, like I can't even...
I need to know what you think is good if you think that.
like I don't know what your baseline is anymore, so I don't fuck with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
DMX. I think the thing with DMX. Go ahead, my bad.
I'm about to say, may I speak to something right quick, if I may? DMX would have a chance against Jay-Z because to beat Jay, you would have to be breathtaking. And X's breathtaking moments are breathtaking. Like, get at me, dog, it's breathtaking. Stop being greedy, breathtaking. Slipping, breathtaking. He can be breathtaking. So you need to be breathtaking, like in persona and charisma and song making style, like a DMX or a Tupac, or you need to be, breathtaking a la Rakim, Nas, Black Thought, etc.
And it also helps the fact that, songs like Money Cash Hoes, he kind of carried that situation. And it's not even in the way like people talk about Eminem killed Jay on Renegade. It's about the fact that Money Cash Hoes was really more about DMX than it was Jay. And that wasn't even a slight or anything. It was just his lane. And I mean, I guess we could say the same thing with Renegade.
So volume two for me is a bunch of Jay records, but they're really not his records. Half of those records don't sound like they're his. I mean, they sound great, but like very few of those records sound like they were crafted like for Jay.
The songs that I did like,
it was kind of like they got in the groove and just rode the wave. You
Yeah.
know, no, I want to tap into DMX stuff right quick. Let's hit the short. Like even like a week ago, doesn't that sound like a beat better for short? That's what I mean. Like throughout the album, his guest appearances, it's almost like the beats were tailor made for the guest and not for Jay. That's why I don't think that album is a classic. And it's too many guest appearances for somebody so great.
Feature on every song with the exception of Hard Knock Life.
And hold on, no. I feel like there was one more on
The
there.
Kid Capri song, he got Kid Capri on it, but
I guess Hard Knock Life is really the only one.
you know, although I love A Week Ago, since you mentioned Short, I still feel like, that's Jay's record, but Short was on the hook. We know that's Jay's weakest point, the hooks.
Do you think so? You think that's his weakest point?
I think it is. We can't think of many great Jay records where he handled the hook.
I can't think of any, but I mean, I'm serious.
My iPad real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Knock yourself out.
All right.
Yeah.
Nah, so I mean, I think that's his. I mean, if there is a chink in his armor, I think it's the hooks. I mean, he can't do hooks in the way that a DMX or a Snoop or even a Too Short can do.
I always thought it was his voice.
Well, that plays into his lack of being able to hold down a hook too.
Speaking of hooks, Future came out today.
Yeah, I like it. I need to listen to it a little bit more.
I need to listen to it a little bit more too.
It's kind of leveled out. It's not like, I don't know, man. I guess I hold people to standards of like some of their most seminal works. And for me, with Future, the self-titled album that he did, the one that had Mask Off on it, Good Dope, Power.
What's his seminal work for you? Yeah, what's his seminal work for you?
That album. I mean, because as soon as I heard that, just like I do like every Friday when something drops, as soon as I put that on and was like, just before I even got in the car, I was like, yo, man, this shit is hard. I didn't get that feeling on this, but when I listened to it in the whip, I was like, it rides, you know what I'm saying? It just wasn't something that I felt like, okay, this is game change. We're going to forget about this. I'll put it that way.
I have a few different thoughts.
Go ahead.
So my cousin, who put me on to hip hop in the late 80s, he has a son.
Mm-hmm.
He's in South Georgia down in Noonan. I wake up this morning and the first thing that I see on my TL on social media is my little cousin. His dad is my big cousin. This is my little cousin. First thing he said, Future's the GOAT.
There's a lot of people I saw saying that on According to Hip Hop too.
And hold on, and so we have to give him some respect in the sense, and that's why I put him in first today, and I played him first. A lot of people feel the way that my younger cousin feel.
I think we've heard a lot of people argue that Future is better than Nas. I mean, it's what.
I was about to say, didn't the whole Future Nas thing? So I was thinking about that today while I was riding the Future, because I was feeling like I tried to get my younger cousin's zone because he really thinks Future is the GOAT. So I'm riding around and I'm not trying to listen to the music from my perspective. I'm trying to listen to it from his perspective. I'm not trying to listen to it like I'm the Nas fan. I want to hear what Cuz is hearing. And so I can hear a lot of that because Future can do things like hook and bar and just like he's carved out his own niche that really is like incredible for the staying power that he's had with it, and for that after all this time, you have people like my younger cousin that really do think that Future's the GOAT. Like I dismissed him. I was like, no, sir, but he's great for the air. And he was like, stop. Like just an hour ago, he was like, yo, don't get up on there and shit on my dude. Like he was serious. He was serious with, like, I could feel it through the phone when he said that. So when I thought about it, if you're like 22 to 32 Future and Drake have kind of had that on lock. I mean, Kendrick and Cole are the guys for as far as MCing, but there are really people out here who think that like Future is the best MC slash rapper or whatever it is at this point ever.
I think that, I mean, if you take it that step, man, I think the Future trumps them in his influence, right? Like, Future is more influential, in my opinion, than Drake, Cole, and Kendrick. I
He
mean, I mean, when you listen to, I mean, those artists that you sent me the other day, shout out to them. I mean, you can hear Future and Thug in just about anybody that comes out in a certain era. Like, you just hit even Roddy Ricch with the box. I mean, that's Future. I mean, somewhere down the line, that's Future. And what Future really benefits too is he's been feature heavy in his career, but just like in this album, in the album that I'm talking about, he can go hold it down himself, and you don't feel like anything's missing. Future doesn't need features in a feature heavy generation. Future does not need you on his record.
So you took everything, you took a good bit of what I was just about to say out of my mouth. Future doesn't need help the way these other guys need help, and that needs to be respected and commended by the people who don't enjoy his music from our generation.
You know what? Don't
He
get it.
don't need help. Like a lot of these guys from our generation they need Future on their hook.
And you know what? I know that J. Cole's fans, rant and rave about the fact that he doesn't have help, but I feel like his music would be better if he did have help. I can't say the same thing for Future. I think that Future's music is not enhanced. I think that he is reaching his zenith without having help. I feel like with J. Cole, he's being handicapped by his fans who continue to celebrate the fact that he doesn't have features, produce his own stuff. Imagine how dope a J. Cole record would be if he had, Premier producing it or something. Just throw a name out there, Alchemist.
Hold on. Part of Future's whole mystique is that he's kind of living in his own world, in his own zone. Like,
yeah,
there's not that's a one passenger spaceship for the most part. He just doing pickups and drop offs. Other than that, it's not meant for what he's doing. That's what I mean about how he's really carved out a special niche that a lot of people, no matter how gifted they may be lyrically or bar wise, can't do, because he's carved out his literal own world and done it so well to the point that there are people like my younger cousin that think he's the greatest who ever did it. And that within itself is kind of an accomplishment for what he doesn't do bar wise and lyric wise for those who love, for those of us who to hear stuff like that.
It's his delivery too, because he's really not bar wise. He's not bad.
He's not bad. He's not bad.
I mean, it's just a very unorthodox style. Like I said, and no disrespect to anybody, I think this is the most influential artist ever in James Brown. My dad's the biggest James Brown fan. Me too. I think Future is hip hop's version of James Brown at this point.
Hold on. No.
But he's doing seriously. I can't pinpoint what he's doing. Let's think about if we were coming up in the 60s and 70s. Right?
James Brown, Mike.
Listen to what I'm saying. Hear me out. Let's think about if we were coming up in the 60s and 70s where people were writing melodies and they were putting together harmonies, and you got this guy who's not singing, who's grunting, and it's like it's hard to identify, but people are jamming to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing with Future. He's not rapping, really. He's not singing. I don't know what he's doing, but it's working. You know what I'm saying? And no, I've heard George Clinton speak on James like this, because these guys were sitting here writing music. Well, James was just basically had a great band, running the jam session, and just getting it in. It was about a feeling, and that's what Future stuff is.
First of all, Mike, I want to let you know that I'm writing down the date and the time that you compare Future to James Brown. It's 12:52. You know this, right?
Out the dance moves, obviously, you know.
That Mike. So how can you compare Future to James Brown when James Brown is arguably the greatest like on live stage performer and possibly dancer ever? And
I'm
it's
just talking Sonic.
hold
I'm
on.
talking.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Obviously, that part's
I'm
different.
about to
No,
say like
I'm
if
just talking musically, sonically, and their approach and how different they are than their contemporaries. You know what I'm saying?
okay.
And that's what makes him. And when you stand out like that, people look at you different. Like that's why my dad will always swear on everything that James Brown's the greatest thing ever. He stood out against, amongst his peers in the way that Future probably does to this generation. Like what he does is different, but you can't really throw Future in a box. I mean,
he's on his own spaceship and he just
yeah.
picks up passengers. Yes.
Now let's think about it. Who else was doing what James Brown was doing in that era sonically? People were singing.
I mean, Mike, what do you? No, I understand what you're saying. James Brown is so great that if Michael Jackson and Chris Brown don't exist, he is still clear cut the best dancer who ever
Yeah.
on stage. And think about how long ago that was. That's how far ahead of the curve he was, just as far as stage presence, persona, the whole cape, the shit.
We might not even have hip hop if it wasn't for James Brown. Yeah.
Hold on. He had help. That's why I said, I mean, I don't know if you heard me when I said Clyde Stubblefield.
Yeah, of course.
You already know who Clyde
But
Stubblefield is. Like the boom boom clap is essentially like the boom boom clap that hip hop is based on is essentially Clyde Stubblefield's drums.
of course.
For James Brown. Can we
Yeah.
agree upon that?
Well, give it up, turn it loose, all that stuff. I mean,
that's hip hop. That's
but honestly though,
who's the other drummer? Who's the other drummer, Mike? Because we don't want to leave him out too. The other because
I
they
can't
had drummers.
but I know Clive is really the one who
Clive was the one with the drums in the.
he's the one that has the drum loops that everyone samples.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's where hip hop starts. So James Brown is important not only to his genre that he stepped into, but also to a genre that got created pretty much from the beats that he danced to and sang to.
Yeah, and see, I feel like
that's
it's awesome. And then the fact that
that's that Beatles, Prince, Michael Jackson, Bob Dylan territory. That's not Future territory, is all I'm saying.
No, what I'm saying though, obviously for historically, but when we're talking about this era, how are they supposed to view Future? You know what I'm saying? Like he created his own lane, and let's not act like other people aren't following his lane.
Mike, the main thing that I realized, you know what Future's best staying power is and why this album sounds dope actually? It's because when you listen to Future's album, you realize how many motherfuckers are out here biting his style
Exactly.
and taking his shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't do it as well as he does, even when he's not at his best.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what I thought all day today while I was riding to this album. And I made it.
I was thinking like, yo, Uzi,
I didn't have anything to do today. I made it a point to make things to do to make sure that I could ride because I saw Future and Moneybagg Yo had dropped. And I was like, I'm riding today because I need to like catch the vibe.
Yeah. For me, I got a friend, shout out to Savola out there, man. He's a huge Future fan. And I told him last night that I listened to it. And I was like, oh, it was cool, whatever. And that's before I, read into it. He was like, man, everything on his site. What you talking about?
See?
But that's,
This is what I mean about getting into their zone. I was in a zone enough where I was riding today, Mike. When I just got my car back, I got in the fender bender. I just got straight, and I'm whipping the wheel back out on the road. It's Friday. Right. Nice outside in Atlanta. I got the sunroof back. Future's playing. Like, I rode to it the whole way through. First of all, it's too long. Future shit always too long.
Makes a lot of music. A
That's
Uh-oh.
what I mean. People got to respect it. He's making a lot of music on his own. Like cats that are making 17, 18 tracks albums are having like half of those songs be filled with guest appearances. Future just be out here going ham on the solo mission a lot. And he's been doing that for a while. That's why he deserves so much respect. Like
I
he's actually old school.
was thinking,
He's
go
old
ahead.
school. He's old school in the regard of, he's going to actually keep the features to the minimum and make it his album and make sure that you're bought into his world and don't have it confused.
Yeah. When I listen to his stuff, I don't even think about who's producing the record. I don't think about any of that stuff.
I think about Future.
Yeah. And honestly,
that's why Lil Cuz thinks
process. What's that?
Like, think about this. So Nas is my guy. You know how many times, like, what my thing is, Mike. Oh, Nas releasing the album. The first thing I say, who did the production?
Of course.
The first thing I want to know about a Nas album. I'm one of his biggest fans. It's the first thing I want to know. It's like, who did the beats? Kanye did the beats. I'm in. Who is that? Who the fuck?
But you know why that is, probably?
We'll see.
It's probably because of the hooks, possibly. And it probably is
better at hooks than Jay, and he has a better voice. So I'm not want to hear that excuse. Really, I've heard other people say that.
Well, this is the thing. When it comes to this is the family that Future comes from. When it comes to the Outkast stuff, we don't think about who's producing this. We just listen to the music for what it is.
My assumption is always that it's just the Dungeon family as a collective getting the
job.
That's
the assumption, but sometimes other people slip in. And then you're like, oh, okay.
Who slipped in?
What's his name, man? Gangsta shit. The one that made actually the one that made the Ghost Town DJs my boo.
Wow.
Man.
Oh God, that's back, Mike. I mean, shit, you going into the fucking. It's not fair. It's not fair. You got access to a whole database. I mean, you.
Hold on.
You own a hip hop. That's really not.
But no, every now and then. Well, honestly, in the first 3 Outkast albums, it really didn't happen, right?
And Goody, and Cool Breeze, and Witch Doctor. That's what I'm saying. It was all camp efforts for about 7-8 years, wouldn't you say?
Don't you miss the camp efforts, though?
Yes, but no.
Carmo, that's his name. But yeah, the camp efforts was cool, man, because you knew what you were gonna get. You knew what you were gonna get. I didn't like that hip hop when everybody's had like a Swiss beat, they had a Timbaland beat, they had a Neptune beat, and it was like everybody's album sounds the same now.
Everybody's album does sound the same now. I hate that posse cuts are not special anymore. If you really want to know the truth, Mike, there was a point where if you got a group of artists together, 3 or 4 guys that were part of different camps or collectives or were just different solo artists, and you got them on one record together, that was something. I think the last time I heard people get on a record together and it was like, ooh, I really want to hear that, was when Game, 2 Chainz, and Rick Ross did Ali Boumaier.
Okay.
That was the last time I felt that way about a posse cut, where I was like, "Oh, that's Wes."
I was gonna say when A$AP Rocky brought all them together on One Train.
That's a little too easy. That's what I mean. That like that happens too often now. It's like there used to be those pairings that used to make you go like, how are they gonna make that work? Because it's like when you think about it out loud at the time, it's like the Game, 2 Chainz, Rick Ross. It's like, and then you hear the beat. And then you hear how 2 Chainz and Game is coming back, going back and forth. And then the way Ross just kind of step in with his verse so effortlessly and slide out. It's like, man, that's masterful. That's beautiful. That's a moment.
It's his ability to adjust, not only to adjust to different production and different eras, but he adjusts different artists. And he's always been able to do that. Like, I think that's what's really underrated about the Game and what he's brought to the game. But what makes it
he's a problematic
is the fact that he takes on that collaborator's voice almost. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those Nas collaborations he did, I thought he was Nas.
Letter to the King.
Uh-huh. I
Yeah.
was like,
Letter to the King. I feel the same way about that record. It's like, damn.
I think not, it said games top 30. You know what? I
Yes.
can't knock that,
Yes.
but
Yes.
the game is so difficult to rate. I think
No,
that's
he's
why
not.
people don't even rate him.
That's what it is. They just choose not to rate him because they don't want to give him his due. So every time he talks about not getting his due, I'm with him on that because he hasn't gotten it. Because he hasn't gotten the same props that Tip, Jeezy, Ross, his whole set of contemporary Kanye, like he hasn't gotten the same love that they've gotten. He's made better albums than most of those guys.
I
Like
think
I don't
that
like
consistently, if we want to talk about consistently, yeah. And obviously, the documentary.
I'm about to say, do any of those guys have an album better than documentary? Maybe T.I. with trap music.
I think documentary is better than trap music, and
So
I'm a
I,
big trap music advocate.
no.
But,
I think the
but see,
documentary is it's
this is the
executive
thing.
produced by Dr. Dre. The game is from Compton. The documentary is supposed to sound better than trap music.
Right. But this is the thing. Trap music we attribute to T.I., and that's
It is
his effort.
that's tips.
I think that's the biggest knock on game where he has so much help. And I think that's why he gets looked over in that way. Because, I mean, we see Kendrick putting out Damn, where it's just him. You know what I'm saying? And he got people on hooks, whatever. But Game, is there a Game album we could just say he just held it down?
You mean like on the MC tip, on the like putting together of the album,
Yeah,
or
like how
both?
they did on the Blueprint, like how Tip did on, what I'm saying, trap music.
To a degree.
Huh?
Um, all right, so you mean like less features?
Yeah,
You mean putting the project
yeah.
together?
Yeah. Where,
So
like, and it's cool to have production from all over the place, I
hold
guess.
on,
That's fine.
Big Daddy Loc Diesel said the documentary shits on any
I agree with that.
doesn't shit on it, Mike. No, not shit on.
The documentary is pretty good, man. I think
No,
that
it's a classic. It's a classic.
I think it's up there with Get Rich or Die Trying.
I actually think it's better than Get Rich or Die Trying if you go.
Ooh. And you don't think it shits on T.I., every T.I. album? I
Not
don't
trap
think it's better
music.
than Get Rich or Die
Trap
Trying. I
music
don't
that
co-sign.
shit on tip trap music. No, not shit on. It's better than. It's
I
better.
think we're biased, man.
That's like saying Doggy Style like is shitting on something like The Infamous. It's like no, it's not. It's better than, but it's not shitting on.
You think that trap music goes in the conversation as all time great hip hop albums though?
How
I,
long is that list?
huh?
How long is that list?
I
If
mean, let's say
we're
50 because we're talking
yeah,
about 50.
yes, it's one of the best 50 albums ever made. Trap music's one of the best 50 rap albums ever. Yes.
Where does documentary fall in that? I mean,
I would probably have trap music somewhere between 35 to 45. Documentary would probably fall 25 to 35.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll
They both,
see.
I don't
Uh,
think I would put I would be hard pressed to put either one of those albums in my top 20 if we're talking about the totality of hip hop history.
all right, they're saying that we forgot about the first album. You're talking about I'm
I'm
Serious.
serious.
I want to go on my I'm Serious rant. Are you an I'm Serious fan? No.
I want to hear your soapbox rant first. Go. Go ahead and have
all right. I'm serious. I think that, some people hold it high because it is T.I.'s quote unquote first album. But if you want to sit there and think about it, he changed up his whole style after that. I really look at trap music as his first album. Are there any songs on I'm Serious that you've ever seen T.I. perform in any of his sets?
not since he like not I mean
No.
hold on. Trap
Does he even perform Dope Boys in the Trap?
here's why the documentary is not shitting on trap music. There are so many groundbreaking, like each single that T.I. released on trap music took him higher and higher.
Yeah.
Like it's rare that a rap album does that for an artist where every single that they drop increases their notoriety and the standing of the album a little bit more as it goes along, because you usually drop your coldest heat first, and then by the time you would get to your third or fourth single, it would be a dope record, but it might not be the game changer or the mover as those first two records. Everything he released on trap music kept changing the game for him every time that he did it, Mike.
It did.
Everything. Rubber
But
Band and Be Easy, 24s, every time it dropped, it just like increased. No, that's rare for a rap album.
all right, what was the single order was 24s. That was extremely local. That shit was big in Atlanta. And at that time, T.I. had
but now that's a classic. That's what I'm talking about, the growth.
yeah.
Like when 24s came out and we was down here, like that was local a local classic, Mike. That's a hip hop classic by the time the album had been out for a year.
Now, Be Easy was the second single.
And then Rubber Band Man.
Kind of just didn't. It was local too, but it didn't do what 24s did. It didn't get him any higher at that point. He didn't get the Rubber Band Man came. And that was the third single.
I mean, Rubber Band Man is the tipping point. Rubber Band Man's one of the best.
Let's Get Away leveled them out. That was 106 worthy.
Yeah, but I mean, Rubber Band Man's that's a first single that got released at the back end. That's how dope trap music is. That's what I'm saying.
I think that was a conscious effort. Oh, what they asked where we're from. From Atlanta. I was actually
raised in Atlanta, but back to Charlotte and back to Atlanta. Spent some time in California and everywhere in between.
Well, when trap music came out, I was working in Atlanta radio, and I remember the whole rollout. Actually, it had a show at Clark Atlanta at the time, but
Hold on, this dude said 336. He's Greensboro with it. That's Greensboro. If you 336, fam, what up? I went to USC.
Shout out to Greensboro.
I went to USCG. My grandfather went to A&T, Aggie Pride. Shit. Yeah.
So yeah,
he Vietnam. He Vietnam with it. That's where Cole from. Vietnam.
Hey man, they got bitters out there, man.
Oh, Mike, I want to talk about like the North Carolina rap scene right quick, seeing how like I actually started there, and that's where like a lot of my shit came from. Like Vietnam,
go ahead, talk about it.
Like Vietnam dudes is nice too. Shout out like to the brothers like about 71st High School and like and all that. Like so you had the artist Trusky on here that like got plugged through my man that I came up with.
Shout out to Trusky.
Yeah, shout out to Trusky. His shit's actually dope too. Like I'm from the west side of Charlotte. He's from the south side of Charlotte, but I used to live on the south side for a little bit. But it was a beautiful thing to see, because when he was talking to you, Mike, the way that he was talking about the Charlotte rap scene, that's how I remember the Charlotte and the North Carolina rap scene. Like cats, that's one of those things where it's like you have to get in a region to understand how serious the shit is. That's why I'm a lyricist. Like they're lyricists in North Carolina. Like, that's why when Cole was the first guy where everybody was really like, yeah, because it's like, yeah, he's a Southern dude, but it's kind of like his own vibe. But he can rap with these East Coast and whoever else, like, and that's the vibe from North Carolina. Like, I've been in so many ciphers, like, and we're talking 20, 23, 24, 25 years ago, Mike. I've been in ciphers with so many dudes who could rhyme their ass off in Charlotte. So, like, just hearing Trusky speak to it, like 20, 25 years later, it's like, oh, it's still going down. Like you couldn't step to the
rap scene.
Yeah, you could like Mike, if you can't rhyme in Charlotte, like cats is gonna let you know you're gonna get your feelings hurt. Like I done cipher with dudes everywhere in Charlotte. Like niggas in Charlotte is nice, and I'm not saying that because that's where like my birth certificate says that I'm from. Like I'm saying that from having like gone through the rigors of rhyming with the cats on the east side, on the Plaza, Shamrock, West Boulevard, Beatties Ford, Freedom on the west side, South Boulevard on the south side. Like I've been everywhere. Tryon, like Rock Hill, South Carolina, where they be having a lot of the like the low key hip hop clubs that still do like graffiti and break dancing and shit. Like all that, Mike, it's real. There's a lot of East Coast influence in North Carolina, Virginia.
You can tell by the approach, and a lot of people who come from North Carolina to send us music at according to hip hop, and we listen to it. I'm like, yo, man, these dudes in North Carolina can rhyme, and it wasn't even just Cole. I mean, I guess I started
We can
noticing that
rap,
with
Mike.
Andre and Little Brother
Carolina
and shit
niggas
like that.
spit.
Huh?
Carolina niggas spit, Mike. Like
Yeah.
spit shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that they promote the fact that Cole's from Carolina enough? Is
No.
that
Not
embedded in
really,
people's?
no. It's Mike, the rhyme shit is so serious. My 20-year high school reunion was actually last summer and I couldn't make it because I had a lot of stuff going on down here. But I had a couple of my homies that I used to rhyme with from around my way that was like, yo, we can kick that cipher shit when you get back too. It's been 20 years, Mike. They was like, yo, when you get back though.
They don't cipher in Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? And that was one of those ways that I felt out of place because for whatever reason I wanted to do that stuff. But in Atlanta, it ain't really. In Atlanta, it's about actually putting together your music and getting your music played somewhere and act.
Which means you need to be networking more than you need to be making music, which is problematic if you're not, involved in certain activities and don't have the free and leisure time to do so. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really not even so much about your rhymes at that point. It's just about your ability to put together songs.
I mean,
Case in point.
Mike, when I was active down here, like when I was down in Atlanta and doing my thing, which is around the same time that you were too, there was a very popular female adult dancer, who I knew personally, and I remember us having a conversation about my music and what I needed to do because she had did something for my friend, and so me and her was just chopping it up and stuff, and she was like, "Yeah, Coop, like come on through. You need to throw me a stack. You need to throw the DJ a stack. We wavy from there." And I'm like, "Well, how wavy are we gonna be?" She was like, "I'm gonna get you played 3 times, sometime between 10 to 2." And I mean, think about it. That was what,
To get
and that
played.
was just gonna be for the night. I was going, hold on. So just to get my shit played 3 times for one night, and it would have been it was one of the spots. I ain't gonna say the name. It was one of the spots where it's like a lot of cats that made their name by getting their shit played in there. It's like it was costing me 2 stacks to get it played 3 times for that one night. So like, understand how the game really go.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's not.
hold on,
That's
Mike.
not for the ciphering MC.
Mike, that was the plug price because me and her was cool and she knew my folks and I knew her folks. When I mean I knew her folks too, like I knew her neighbor. He was an investment banker that was a friend of mine. So it's like she knew my people in the streets and she knew my like business people too. And like the best I could get the price down to was 2 stacks because most niggas at the time had to come off about 5 or 7.
Someone mentioned that YBN Corday is from Raleigh, North Carolina as well, and I don't think they promote that enough either.
They don't be promoting cats that's from North Carolina. They don't.
I think he gets promoted, but it doesn't get promoted the fact that he's from Carolina.
Like
You
Mike,
know what I'm
like when I mean promote Mike, it's like they gotta promote it too.
saying? Yeah.
Like you and I have talked like I like to travel, Mike. I be in pictures throwing up like the Dub C like for the west side of Charlotte. Like I ain't lived in Charlotte since I was 17, going on 18, but I still throw it up. Like I rep my shit, even though I was raised down here. My family's from Charlotte, North Carolina. I started that rap shit in Charlotte, North Carolina.
You know who the quintessential person for repping their city is? Nelly.
He reps Lulu.
Nelly repped St. Louis to
Hard,
yeah.
hard. Hey, Mike, when I met him, he was in St. Louis Cardinals gear, but it like literally it was when Country Grammar was coming out. Because I told
Right.
you, I used to work at the record store in Charlotte when I was in high school. All the artists used to come through. I met Nelly when Country Grammar came out. Like he was lubed up when he walked in the door. That was '99.
He probably had the Cardinals gear on.
Yeah,
You
he had Cardinals gear. Yeah.
It was either that or the Rams. You know what I'm saying? Niggas is rapping.
No, he rep.
I mean, for a minute, I didn't even know YBN Corday was from North Carolina. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, dude, like even if you even want to go back like to D Block, Jay Hood from Carolina, kept the lock sign.
I didn't know that.
Jay Hood from Carolina.
Didn't know that.
The baby from Huntersville, that's West Side.
Well, I know the baby's from Carolina.
Yeah. So like
I don't know if that gets promoted enough either.
that's what I'm saying. So like so he's from the west side of Charlotte. Like I'm from the west side of Charlotte. Like where he's from, I went to high school like about 15 minutes away from where he's from. I went to West Charlotte. Like he's from Huntersville. That's the west side of Charlotte. My family, like Mike, I'm doing my family tree. Like, my family helped build Davidson College. Like my family's from Huntersville on my grandmother's side. Like that's west side, west side. Like that's what I'm saying. I rep Charlotte. Like my family on both sides is from the west side of Charlotte.
You know what, man? North Carolina actually got a lot of MCs out in the game that's doing their thing, but people
Mez,
don't look at North Carolina as a
Mez from the
spot.
aftermath. You remember King Mez?
Yeah,
Mez is from Charlotte. You didn't even know. He was signed to Aftermath.
that's what I'm
Drake
saying.
was fucking with him. He's from Charlotte.
I think everyone's gotten so used to saying Atlanta has the game on lock. But honestly, if you look at it, with the Baby, J. Cole, YBN Cordae, I mean, there's a
Rhapsody,
Rhapsody, yes.
City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great case for Carolina, but no one ever says that.
Mike, I don't be wanting the guy to say it. I'm from Charlotte. I don't be wanting the guy to say it. So, like, I'm on this platform with you, and I don't hear any other dudes on this platform that are from where I'm from. Everybody's from New York, Houston, Chicago, LA, Atlanta, and I dig it. It's cool. I was raised down here on the east side. It's funny. I was having some east side flashbacks today. My mom and my sister were upstairs whooping my daughter and niece in spades. My mom taught me how to play spades with her friend Tara up on Memorial Drive. They made me cry when I was 10, Mike. Like, so I was raised down here too, but my family's from Charlotte. Like they don't be giving Carolina their love. Mike, little brother,
Carolina, look,
little
Carolina's
brother,
moment right now. I know we were going to talk about Griselda in their moment, but Carolina's actually having a moment right now, kind of like what Compton was having when Kendrick, you know, the game and all that was working, but no one's acknowledging this.
Hold on, but nobody's talking about it, Mike, and I want to be very clear. We talked about talking about a few things before we came on like we always do, and this wasn't one of them. This is totally random that we're bringing this up right now.
It flows. It happens.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying I don't want to make it seem like I'm pushing some sort of agenda because I'm from Charlotte. Yeah. Like, but it's really that real in Charlotte, North Carolina. Like I said, Raleigh, Durham burn. Ghostface gave Raleigh, Durham the shout out in Apollo Kids. With my man straight from Raleigh, Durham. Yeah.
But listen, I'm pretty sure that the energy is, you know, working with the people that are there in Carolina, and it gives them that battery in their back to MC the way that they're doing and know that there's a way to make the world hear them. I just think that it doesn't really seem like it's a point for those actual artists to rep Carolina in the ways that Outkast made it a point to rep Atlanta. And I think that's where that really started, because there were artists before Outkast that didn't really rep it like that. Like Criss Cross was out there. I know they were kids, but it wasn't like they were repping the blocks of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Or
they from the block, Mike.
Huh?
They from the block.
No, but they did. It wasn't in the music.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Hey, that was never really fair to them because a lot of cats don't know them dudes is from the block.
They never put it in the music, and I think that Outkast made it a conscious effort to name streets, name Greenbrier. You know what I'm saying? And actually
underground
put you in the city.
Underground. We went to underground. We seen a lot of hoes around.
Yeah.
I gave my way in Countdown.
Yeah, and I don't think the NC artists are doing that enough or making a point to do that to the point where people really understand where they're coming from. It's almost like, I don't want to say they're ashamed to be from there, but they're not repping it.
So can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
That's part of why I love the clip so much. So Virginia and North Carolina are a lot alike in the sense that we are probably the southern states that are most influenced hip-hop wise by the East Coast culture. And so when you hear us, you can probably hear a lot of the East Coast influence lyrically. I've always loved how, even though, like, the Clips in the early 2000s were doing the best East Coast hip hop, even though they were from the South. And North Carolina MCs. So for me, the Clips are the first guys to master that pocket of North Carolina and Virginia of being great MCs and lyricists and being able to make great records, but still claiming and repping their shit.
Yo, Big Daddy Diesel has a question. I think this question's for you. Said, did you like the Helicopter NC song from Petey Pablo?
I do not. And you and I have talked about this behind the scenes.
That's why it's a question for you.
Because
And
I
I
don't
like
feel,
I'm
and
not
here's
from
the thing,
Go ahead.
I like Petey. I just feel like he wasn't put in the proper position, and that song wasn't the accurate perception for the first artist to be coming out of a major label for North Carolina. So that's why I don't like the song. I don't feel like it was an accurate representation because, like I said, we spit that shit up there. So it's like when he came out with that song, it's like I was down here. Okay, so my brothers, my family on my dad's side is from Youngstown, but they were mostly raised down here. Like when that came out, they was clowning me. You know what I'm saying? Because they know that I spit that shit, and they like, what the fuck? Like, what's that? What's that, little bro? What? That's what y'all doing up in Carolina, little bro? You know,
You know what? I'm
it was
from
one of
Atlanta,
those
so
things.
that was my first rap thing hearing from NC, and I thought that's
that,
what it was.
that's wrong. That's what I'm saying. Now you can come up to Carolina and think that and get your head tore off too, like lose your money, get your respect took, But I never liked that. Like for me, Little Brother and J. Cole were more accurate representations of the first artists that you should hear from North Carolina because the vibe that they create and the level of lyrics that are involved are more indicative of what the vibe is.
And you know what? It's crazy because, when I heard Little Brother in Ninth Wonder,
I
I
ciphered the Little Brother before they had a deal a long time ago. It was a long
I
time.
felt like just based on what Petey presented, I felt like that those guys were trying to be like New Yorkers. That was my initial perception because I didn't know. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So
So
this is what I mean about the New York influence in Virginia and North Carolina runs deep. There are a lot of things being done on the black market in Virginia and North Carolina in regards, but
hmm
there's also a lot of familial ties. I can't speak for Virginia more so, but in North Carolina, I know for a fact there are a lot of familial ties to cats in New York to North Carolina. Like my cousin one day, Mike, like I went to the crib to see him, and he had went with this chick that he was dating to a funeral, and Nas was there because the dude who had passed was some of Nas's family that was like from Carolina. Like there's a lot of that going on where a lot of those dudes have people down here and it's influenced the music. A lot of people from up there have moved down to Carolina and
well, yeah.
roots and had family there. It's taking a hold of the hip hop culture. Like in Charlotte, part of how about this, Mike? All the stuff that you were hearing in Atlanta, I wasn't hearing that in Charlotte. I was getting the Funk Flex and DJ Clue stuff. It was more East Coast based.
There's a lot of New Yorkers in Charlotte.
Yes, you had to, like Mike. I had you if you wanted some like UGK or some 8 Ball and MJG in Charlotte at the time, you had to dig a little further. But getting a Jay-Z mixtape that had the best songs from Reasonable Doubt in Volume 1 already mixed up into a greatest hits mash for you, that was easier to get than UGK's Riding Dirty.
Yeah. Yeah, we were able to get a lot of that stuff. Y'all probably got a lot more New York stuff than we did, but there were a lot of New Yorkers that came down to Atlanta, I think mostly because of the AUC and shit like that, but it freaked
That's
me.
why I said familial ties. It's different when it's familial ties.
Right.
That sets a tone in the city and the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in '94, dude, we were talking about Illmatic more than we were talking about Southern Playalistic. Like
Mm.
Hootie Who was the shit in Charlotte. Like Hootie Who was the shit in Charlotte. But in '94, more cats was talking about Ready to Die and Illmatic than they were Southern Playalistic. It wasn't really till Goody Mob dropped Cell Therapy, and that Benz or a Beamer Cell Therapy tape was really the first time that I saw like the Southern influence hit Charlotte hard. But I'm also gonna say I didn't move back. I'm from Charlotte. I was born there, but I didn't move back to Charlotte till '93. So I'm literally pulling up in Charlotte right around the time that Illmatic, Ready to Die, and Southern Playalistic are about to drop. That was the first full year I was in Charlotte. More people talked about Illmatic and Ready to Die than Southern Playalistic outside of Hootie Who and Players Ball.
So
It
yeah,
wasn't, but Mike, by '96, when ATLiens dropped, oh, really wasn't nobody talking about like it had changed by then. By then, 3-6, UGK 8 ball. Like by '96, oh, it was heavy. And then it was like if you was listening to somebody like a Nas or a Busta Rhymes or a Redman, you was getting put on to it. And me and my cousin, my older cousin that brought me in this rap shit, like we were the ones that was putting cats on like that other shit. Because the South did take over in Charlotte too. Yeah, yeah.
So, let's see, man, we got to finish this conversation. Let's see. All right, we got a mod on now. We were just talking about the NC scene. What's up, everybody getting in the room? We on the late night tonight, man. Shout out to everybody that's staying up. Shout out to everybody that's up right now. Y'all still quarantined? Everybody safe? Everybody good? Hey, what's up? What's up? We were talking about the Nelly versus Ludacris that's happening tomorrow. We got a tangent and start talking about pretty much every damn thing, actually. But it's all hip hop music. What's up, man? What's up?
All right, we back at it. It's late night.
Yeah, it is late night, man. You know what I'm saying? We got on our roll. We was talking about we was just talking about the NC scene, the North Carolina hip hop scene. You kind of got up to the point of ATLians for Outkast. I feel like
that was the first Southern rap album that I really heard everywhere in Charlotte from the time that
very East Coast influence. It is the most East Coast influenced Outkast album in their catalog. Yes, it's a boom bap Outkast album. It is.
You're right. No, you're right. I was just like reflecting for a minute and trying to like think about what you were saying. Like no, but that's totally accurate. But that was the perfect segue album to kind of like. How about this? Was World Domination the one that had Sipping on Some Scissor?
Nah, 66, 61. World Domination was the one that had Set a Club up on it in late nights.
Okay, now that shit banged in Charlotte, but by the time Sipping on Some Scissor came out, like the South had shit on lock. But ATL had a lot to do with that. ATLians was like the first rap album from the South that I heard in Charlotte that tuned all the other great shit from the other regions out. Like that was the one that was getting the most play. Like
Six was such a busy.
Like it was written and Reasonable Doubt and ATLians in '96 was getting the most run in Charlotte.
Really, Reasonable Doubt. I'm gonna be honest. Here in Atlanta in '96, from what I remember, I was young.
I'm trying to tell you.
Reasonable Doubt was getting no burn here.
Mike, my 10th grade year, I went to high school with somebody who's part of Jay's family who shouted, and Jay shouted him out on the radio. And my man knew I was ahead because I was ahead even then. Like, Mike, anybody who knows me that tells you that I'm doing this now, they're like, well, yeah, duh. Like, nobody would be surprised. Like, he had fam. Like, that's what I'm saying. There are so many stories like that. There are familial ties. I knew some of his blood. He shouted his blood out on the radio when I was in high school. And my man pulled up the school. I'm not even going to say his name either because that's how the G code go. I pulled up on him the next day. He was like, you listened to the radio last night? I was like, yeah, you official. I hear you.
The Jay-Z records from Reasonable Doubt that were playing down here, you would hear Can't Knock the Hustle every now.
We weren't hearing
obviously, you know, the one from the Nutty Professor soundtrack with Foxy. But that was more so because of the soundtrack, not really because of Reasonable Doubt. So 96 had a lot going on. 96.
Fugees
was everywhere.
Fugees was everywhere.
Tupac was everywhere.
Hold on. The score was so big, it shouldn't even count as compared to everything else that came out that year. And I'm not talking quality of music. I'm just talking in terms of notoriety and impact. Yeah. Like, it was just somewhere else for people.
In my opinion, you know, and I wrestle with this. Like, I know we're on a whole nother topic again, but
a little overrated.
I think that the score could possibly be the most impressive sophomore album ever.
It's a little overrated.
Is it?
A little bit.
Why?
Because Pras and Wyclef aren't that dope as MCs, Mike.
But Wyclef is a great musician. I think Wyclef
His musicianship is what makes that album from great to classic. I'll say that because we already know Lauren's great, so we're expecting her to be great. She got greater.
I think
All
those
time great.
songs, I think
She's all time
those,
great. She's all time great on that album. I mean, like there are about 4 or 5 of her verses on that album that I mean, like Mike, they hold today like
yeah, oh, yeah.
phenomenally.
Yeah, I think she was even. I mean, you could hear her improvement on the Carnival as an MC.
That's what I mean. She was already dope, but then she was
Yeah,
like, I was like, oh shit, like you can
yeah.
ride with, you know, anybody. And that
Well,
was the first
this is
female
what
act.
I will say about Wyclef on the score. I think that those songs coming together in the way that they did were a big part of his brainchild. Like
Oh, that's why I'm saying his musicianship.
I love Fuji La. Those are records that sound like they, I'm not slighting Lauren on any level. Sound like they come from Wyclef's head. When you
No,
look
like
at
I said, his musicianship is what makes that album from great to classic. Because the greatness of the album outside of that is her, because she's breathtaking on that album. Like I mean, like when you hear her on How Many Mics, you're like whoa, like I've never heard a female, like people understand when she's rhyming on How Many Mics in '96. That's the first time a female MC ever rhymed at that level, Mike.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
keep
care
it
what anybody says.
bar for bar, and obviously,
Like,
Lauren's catalog is what it is. Bar for bar, Lauren's the best female rapper, female
yeah,
MC I've
bar,
ever heard.
bars, yeah, we talking.
And I have all kind of issues with her, whatever, as far as what she didn't put out, blah, blah, blah. But she, pound for pound, lyric for lyric, is the best female MC I have ever heard. Now, as far as Fuji's
You know,
go,
I love MC Light, but you're right, Mike. It's not even much of a discussion, even after all these years. That's so disappointed. Ugh.
it is what it is.
No,
But
it's not.
like the Fugees, I think the Fugees were the closest thing that hip hop got to the Beatles. No disrespect to the Migos out there, but yeah, I think that the Fugees.
Wu Tang,
No, no. I mean, when we talk about Paul, and,
cultish following of the cultish following of the individual artists.
yeah,
Yeah, Wu Tang.
yeah. No, no, no. I'm just talking member for member. I'm talking about that whole dynamic between John and Paul. Like,
Oh, you're talking about the inner
yeah,
workings of the group. You're talking about
John and
the
Paul, Lauren and Clef. It is what it is. And the fact, and what I love the dynamic that even Proswell played in the Fugees. He was the businessman. He was the one that went to, where did he go, to Columbia University, study economics. He was basically their manager in the group, making sure that the group didn't get screwed. It's awesome. You don't have that enough. Everybody played a role in that group. You had Prize as the businessman, and you had Lauren as the head, the front person, the front woman, and you had Clef as the musician. It
Mike,
was perfect.
Mike. But they only did it for one album. That's so unfair
It's
to
one
the Beatles.
album, but
Mike, the Beatles made like 4
no,
albums.
no, 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 no. I feel you know.
Okay.
No, the Beatles made like a million albums. They made like
No, I'm
albums.
talking like when I'm talking like great. Like the way the score is great, the
Yeah.
Beatles like,
You know what? If we want to talk
White
about
Album,
groups, because
the Peppers,
we talk about what ifs in hip hop a lot, right?
they got a
And
lot of
that, it usually stems
heavy
out
brothers.
to individuals like Biggie, Big L, DLC. But that what if that surrounds the Fugees and the whole refugee camp is quite sad
No,
because
that's not sad.
the level of their ceiling was high, man. After the score, their ceiling was high.
No, they did what they were supposed to do with their ceiling.
They could have made more
The
music.
carnival, the score, the carnival, and the miseducation of Lauryn Hill is the ceiling. Those are 3 great albums. 2 of those 3 albums are classics, and one of those albums is really great. And one of those 3 albums is one of the best albums ever. That's a pretty fucking high ceiling, and they hit it.
I feel like it's
The
a.
OJs, how about this, Mike? The OJs don't have three better albums than the Carnival, the Miseducation, and the Score, and they're considered to be legends, and they are legends.
You don't think that the Fugees are legends?
And I've met Eddie Levert; he's class personified 10 times.
You don't think that the Fugees are legends?
I think they made a legendary album.
It's a good way to put it. I will say this.
How about this, Mike? Mike, are they one of the 20 greatest rap groups ever?
Yes.
No, they're not. That's a fucking lie.
Yes.
That's a lie. No, they're not.
Because
I can give you 20
you
groups.
can name 20.
I can give you 20 groups that can triple up on their catalog, Mike.
The catalog is gonna be the Achilles heel. And
Triple, not double, not match. When I can triple your catalog, you gotta be out, homie. That's like saying for every one championship ring you give me, I got 20 other guys that are gonna get me 3. That means you don't get a max contract.
the Fugees are basically the group where they all made the All-Star team one year. Yeah, or something like
When
that.
did Pras make the All-Star team, Mike?
When he was with them,
When?
Draymond Green
No.
in '96.
Yo, let's talk about Griselda. Yo, I'm not even.
What about no? But let me finish. I think that the Score is the most impressive sophomore album ever.
Most impressive sophomore album.
I would say either that or It Takes a Nation. It Takes a Nation probably is number 1, but the Score is number 2.
No, it's not. Niggas for Life is number 2.
Niggas for Life is impressive.
Niggas for Life is better than the Score.
I would say the Score over that, but the Niggas for Life is impressive.
No, you would take the musicality of the Score. But Mike, I'm gonna be honest with you. When you hop in your car and you start riding, unless your girl's in the car, Mike, you'd rather hear Niggas for Life than the Score. It's not the second. No.
Niggas for Life is. You're right. I would rather hear Niggas for Life.
Mike,
what makes
when I be pissed off, low key, that's my album.
Niggas for Life is hard. I personally think Life is better than Straight Outta Compton. That's my opinion.
Mike, beat wise, it's not a correct question because that's when Dr. Dre, the great producer, shows himself to be a great producer.
It's a prequel to The Chronic. It's like
Appetite for Destruction. Appetite for Destruction.
I mean, Real Niggas Don't Die.
Real Niggas Don't Die.
Jeez.
Jesus.
Nah, that album's hard. No.
That album's hard.
And and the fact that they actually
hard in 2020, Mike. You can play it in 2020 and still sound hard. It's like it's 1990.
Ice Cube leaves your group.
Ice Cube. Hold on, Mike. We're about to segue right quick because I'd like to let you know something. Since you spit that Ice Cube verse, don't you know? I played that song and the grand finale song. I was spitting 2 or 3 times. Cube is so fucking nice. Cube was top 10 when we were coming up, all time. And he was still active and he was top 10 all time. Cube is great.
You make it sound like he's not top 10 anymore.
Nah. He would tell you he's probably not top 10 anymore.
All time?
He's probably still top 15, top 20, but I think top 10. If he is top 10, he's gonna be 9 or 10.
I think he's similar to
Scarface. Yep, I knew you were going there.
Scarface has more consistency than him, album for album.
So Scarface is okay.
But I think that Scarface doesn't have the hits that Cube has.
Scarface really doesn't have any hits.
Miss Torres says that Ice Cube's still in her top 10. I mean,
I can't knock that. America's Most, The Predator, Death Certificate. A Bird in Hand is still one of my favorite personal rap songs ever.
You're a Pac fan, so you wouldn't put Cube ahead of Pac, but
I wouldn't. But okay, so
I kind of would. Me personally. I'd rather listen to Cube.
Ice Cube's a better MC than Tupac if we're talking like lyrically, yes. Like, how about this? You know who Tupac is, kind of in a sense, Mike? You've been watching The Last Dance?
I have.
Like, you knew that there was something, like Mike's the most talented. Pac was never the most talented, but you know how there was just something about Mike, the way there was something about Ali. Pac's the closest thing we ever had to that in rap, and that's why I have him over Cube. Because Cube actually probably has more groundbreaking albums probably under his catalog because he is the author of Straight Outta Compton along with MC Ren for the most part from a lyrical perspective. And Eazy-E's first album, that's where West Coast gangster rap really took flight.
I'm the author of gangster rap, period.
He's not the author. He's the first author to take flight. There were a couple of guys doing it before him, and he would be
Of course.
He would be the first to tell you that. But how about this? He was way better than those guys, and that's why it took flight.
Of course.
So he deserves his props and his respect. And so on top of being the first guy to really take flight and author this gangster rap shit to new levels, he left these motherfuckers and went and started dropping classic shit and then became an icon in a whole other business and field. So his cultural impact is heavy.
Did you see that post that he made the other day since we're talking about Cube?
No.
He had a post where he it's a post from a picture from 1990 where he was standing over a tombstone that said R.I.P. NWA. And he was saying that, when he left the group, Jerry Heller wouldn't let Dr. Dre work with him. So he went to Def Jam. And then I guess one of the producers shitted on him over there. And he said he ran into Chuck D in the hallway, and the rest is history.
That's how America's Most happened?
That's what he said. They posted that this week. I never knew that.
I never knew that either. That's fucking...
He wanted Dre to do it. He was trying to get Dre on the same page as him. Like, look, bro, they're fucking you over, man. Come with me. So
you're telling me potentially some of the beats that are on Niggas for Life could have been on America's Most?
Yeah. But it's all on Dre, man.
That's not all on Dre.
No. I ain't saying it like that. I'm just saying that it's just amazing how his decisions, he's kind of like LeBron in that sense. His decisions change everything.
His decisions change everything.
Everything. He stays with Easy. There's no death row.
Everything's different.
Hold on. One man.
Pac stays the Tupac that the original Tupac fans love.
Yeah. It's amazing. I think that hands down, I think Dr. Dre is probably the most important individual.
Most important figure in the history of hip hop.
I think he's the most game shifting, man. Like,
it's he has the Kevin Bacon shit going on, except for like he's Robert De Niro or like Sean Penn or Daniel Day-Lewis when it comes to the craft actually too. It's like, yeah, like he's the 6 degrees of separation guy, but like he's also like one of the illest motherfuckers ever.
Let's just say that he decides to stay with Death Row. Dogfather's different.
I mean,
we might have some more classics that we don't know about.
I mean, hold on, Mike. The East West Coast merger with Nas and Dre in '96 with Nas is Coming may never happen. NWA may stay together and keep on making albums. Ice Cube and Ren may just release solo material on the side that Dr. Dre executive produced the same way that he does for the DOC. We never hear Snoop Dogg because of that.
We never hear Eminem because I don't care what anyone says.
We would have heard 50 because Nas.
50. We wouldn't have heard 50 in the same capacity. 50 probably.
Hold on. No. We would have heard him in some sort of similar capacity because those mixtapes pop. I can remember, Malaa.
Yeah.
Malaa's the best female MC I've ever met personally. Just want to throw that out there. She told me one day when she got back from up there, when his shit had started dropping, She was like, "Yo, Coop, they treating him like he king up there."
Oh yeah, he was doing his thing.
No, no, no. She looked at me and she said, "They treating him the way they treat Nas, the way they treat Big, the way they treat Jay, the way they treat Ra, KRS." I was like, "Hold on." I was like, "What?" I was like, "What? I was like, "They doing what?" I said, "They doing what up there?" I said, "No, no, no." I said, "It's dope." I said, "He's not that." I said, "But it's dope." They was like, "They treating him like that up there." Do not think that if M and Dre don't come calling, that like Puff, somebody big was gonna come calling and make it big. It wouldn't have been as big because Dr. Dre wouldn't have given you beats and executive produced it. But let's not act like there aren't like classics upon classics upon classics of debut albums that have not been produced by Dr. Dre.
Well, see, this is the thing, though. The beauty of it all with 50, and I'm going to go back to Eminem and how I feel about that, was the fact that it hooking up with Dre expanded him outside of New York. And honestly, the New York sound at that point had gotten diluted to the point where it wasn't like New York was dictating who was the hottest in the game. Yes, you could be hot in the streets of New York. That doesn't mean that you would have been taking over hip hop at that period. Dr. Dre was able to give you that.
So can we segue and transition a little bit since you're bringing up just like that local whole New York thing?
Sure, sure, sure.
Griselda's doing just fine off of that, I must say.
I think we're in a different time, man. And I think that we're in a time where people who are hardcore MCs can flourish because you can develop that core following. But see, the thing about a core following, whether you're doing trap, whether you're doing boom bap shit, you got to come out consistently. You got to come out with a lot of work. I don't understand what Joey Badass is doing right now.
Griselda.
Exactly. They're doing all that. They understand that.
That's an old school model, though, Mike. So that's why I
It
want to
is.
talk about Griselda. Oh, hold on. You want to know what? You know
Well,
how Moment of Truth by Gangstar starts off, right? With Guru talking. You see, we have certain formulas, but we update our formula with the times.
yep.
These Griselda niggas are the first dudes to really upgrade the East Coast formula in about 15 years.
Right. What they're doing right now, I feel like Wu-Tang would be doing in this era if Wu-Tang was Wu-Tang now.
So, like I said, Mike, like I went through the catalog. I'm about to go back through again because I'm damn near feeling like we need to give them a whole show.
I think so too.
Yeah, we need to give them a whole show because when I'm listening to the material, like when I'm going over and listen to Conway, going to listen to Benny, going to listen to West Side. I'm listening to the affiliate projects. I'm listening to a couple of the joint projects. I'm like, only Mobb Deep and Wu-Tang have a better catalog if we're talking East Coast groups or collectives.
Let me
Only.
ask,
That includes, hold on, Mike, that includes Locks, Dipset. Love those guys.
do you think it
Together,
hurts them
love all
up?
those guys together and separate.
Do you think it hurts them that they're from upstate as opposed to being from the tri-state area? As
No,
far as that,
I think that's why they're thriving because you want to know what? What they're doing and where they're from is actually perfect for what's going on in hip hop because they don't have to conform. All they have to do is have their business in order and keep their shit tight business wise. And they can keep on dropping these 6, 7, 8, 9 track EPs slash mixtapes, i.e. Re-Up Gang, because that's who they remind me of. They're the modern day Re-Up Gang to me. Like this is the best. This I don't like. How about this? You know how much I love Clips and Pusha and Re-Up and like all that. This is the best run of that East Coast, like that gangster shit. No, no, no. Actually, you want to know what? Like, scratch the genre or putting a type or a typecast on it. This is the best run of hip hop music that a collective is having outside of TDE, since Re-Up Gang had that run where the Clips dropped Lord Willing, they dropped all those Re-Up Gang mixtapes between the Wait for Hell Hath No Fury. Then they
I
dropped major
trumps
release. Huh?
I think it kind of trumps that, and I
No,
think it kind
I
of.
said the best. I said the best sense. I'm only not saying it's better because I'm literally right now going through and evaluating it because it's like Mike, you came up on here and you quoted a track from the track Pussy just like off the top of your head. We've listened to that stuff a ton of times. I want to listen to the Griselda stuff a little bit more before I make that claim, but I would actually say just early on for the first set of listens that I did going back through everything this first week, I would agree with you. I just need to listen a little bit more to see if it holds.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Because,
that's
because here's the thing. I don't know what you
in
think of
the
Benny.
moment.
I still
Yeah.
don't think Benny's Pusha.
Huh?
I still don't think Benny's Pusha. That's what I'm saying. It's like I want to go listen.
I'm a big fan of both of them, so it's like
I'm a big fan. I mean, yeah. I
me and
love Benny, but
me
like,
and Pusha share a birthday, man. So yeah, I mean, and Daytona
Pusha's
is
one
day.
of the greatest MCs ever.
I think
Nobody talks about him or the game. It's like, no, he's one of the nicest dudes ever. It's like, how about this, Mike? I love Cool G Rap. He's better than G Rap because he does everything. He does everything that G Rap does. He's made more material and more hit records, and I
now
love
you know
fucking
what? Hold on,
G-Rap.
hold on. While we're on that point, somebody posted the other day, one of our OGs in According to Hip Hop. She posted
He
on her
can't
personal.
outspit G Rap in a battle. He can't outspit G Rap in a battle. I don't want G Rap getting told.
No, I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
Nas,
But she was,
hold on, Mike. I don't think Nas and Jay could outspit G Rap in a battle. Just so we're clear. Like if it was
okay.
just like,
No, I'm
oh,
talking
we
about.
walking in,
Talking
we
about
walking in. Yeah, we walking in. We putting 100 stacks up like G Rap taking Jay and Nas money. Tell him I said it.
this is what I'm saying though. But she put up in these verses, I want to see a Rakim versus Kane, and I was joking. I was like, Kane got 20 songs, and
It's not records.
and, and I was like, no, I'm just fucking around. It was like, well, Rakim got 20 songs, so
Yes.
I went through and put the Rakim records, but
Can I
I mean,
list
I
them?
got 20,
About to
but
say
I
I can list the records.
realized though, these guys now have so much more music than people of that era. They do. And
Mike,
so from
have
what
that
you're saying right now with the Cool G Rap and
Mike,
Pusha T.
Mike, if you came out before 1994, your rap career was like a running back, 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And your catalog is like this compared to what these guys put out now. These guys
That's why
put out.
Rakim is so great. That's why Rakim is so great because really, if you go listen to the catalog, there are about 10 to 15 to 20 guys with way better catalogs than Rakim. And you still look at him and be like, yeah, but he's better than those guys, though.
The Rakim, man.
He's better.
Rakim,
Like, still better.
his songs got super legs, man.
Super
Paid in
lit.
full. I ain't no joke. Eric B is president. I know you got soul. My melody. These songs got legs, man.
Mike, he's Mike Jack of this rap shit for real. Like the saga begins is like his butterflies to me. It's like that last great record you hear from that artist from that era who you know is the best.
It's the best rapper I ever heard.
Still the best. I mean, Nas is my guy, but it's like even when I think about and I say like, well, Nas is better because he has a better catalog, and at his highest level, he was a better lyricist. It's like, but where did he get that shit from, Mike?
But I think that people who came around in the 90s had an opportunity to have a better catalog. You can't tell me that if Rakim
guys with a catalog,
yeah,
outside KRS, KRS and LL are more like they're aberrations.
they were around, but yeah, exactly. But you can't tell me if those four guys came around in '94, you can't tell me that their catalog wouldn't be a lot more extensive. They were in the game before the game was really, solidified to be a moneymaker. And so it was like they were putting out records, whatever. But when it was time for the new generation to come in, the labels kicked them to the curb.
That's why Griselda is doing so great in this era. They don't need the label. They're just doing their own thing.
No
You
one
know,
needs the
and
era.
it's that's what I mean. It's like I was watching an interview that they did with Preem, and Preem was talking about, he was like, they got that like that Buffalo thing where it's like you know how Preem be talking already. He was like, yo, he was like, the beat is like really, really slowed down. He was like, but it's dope. Like that's Preem talking about Griselda. Like Benny and Conway and Westside are sitting right there next to him while he's saying that. That's Preem saying that about them and what they doing. He's like, I want to put the whole project together and stuff. Like he's talking like that's Preem.
What, what,
Preem has literally worked with the greatest MCs who ever lived. Like if there's like if you, I don't care who you are or where you're from. If you are over 30 years old and you made a top 20 rap list, Preem is like probably worked with every last one of those guys.
yeah, pretty much.
So when he's saying like, I want to make these guys whole project, like we shouldn't be taking that lightly. Like I took that lightly. That's why I want to talk about Griselda. Like, can we talk
I
about
think what's cool.
like I know we're gonna like do a show, but it's like, what about Griselda do you want to talk about right now? Pray for Paris is the best album that came to their camp.
I think that what's cool about what they're doing and the movement that they got going on is kind of like the Dipset movement, right? Where it's the fact that they got their own style, got their own sound, they got their cult following, and no matter how big an individual record gets, they're not changing up their sound. Like, obviously, everybody out here is aware of them. You know, you got Drake talking about them in interviews and all that. If they really wanted to push for a Drake collaboration, they could do it. But they're not doing these things. They're like, this is compromising the brand. We're not going to go out here and do this bullshit. Now, Conway did kind of push the envelope with getting Eminem acclimated on that song, and it kind of backfired on him because it wasn't really received that well.
It was a mistake from the perspective of the quality of the music. It's a good look because he can say like he said on Bondo, you know, I was that nigga before I was on the track with M. Like he gets to say that now because he did the track, but the track itself and like, yeah, you know, but he still is who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like Conway's dope. Conway goes on like Capadonna. Like that's one thing that I noticed. He goes on those Capadonna type epic, like bar crazy rants, but he's better than Kappa to me.
Yeah, he better than Kappa, and I fuck with Kappa. Kappa's
I know you do. I was wondering how you were going to. I was waiting to see what you were going to say. I was going through his catalog. I was like, yo, he
better than Kappa.
I was like, he be doing that Kappa shit. I was like, but he's better than Kappa because he's more consistent.
Yeah,
I love it. And I love Conway because Conway's style is unforgiving, uncompromising, and always menacing. Like and that. It like
all get together.
The same reason that I love Pusha T is why I dig Conway's shit. I don't think he's the lyricist or delivery wise where Pusha is, but everything that I love about Pusha and what makes him my personal favorite of like the last 10, 15 years or so is the same reason that I love Conway. Conway has a lot of Pusha's same traits. It's uncompromising. It's medicine. Your watch ain't cost 30 enough. Take that shit off.
we did a post recently where we were asking if Pusha T is a top 25 MC, and a lot of people were like, yeah. A lot of people were like, no. You know what I'm saying?
Understand what people are hearing. Maybe they're not just privy like to all the mixtape work from the Re-Up Gang or his personal mixtape work when like, you know, the clips kind of just, you know, dissolve, but not in a bad way. Like he's done so much like brilliant work. Like it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, like if we're talking about talking that talk, the only guy to me that's been better that ever did it was Jay. If we're just talking about that, we're talking about.
I gotta think about 25 because when we talk about 25, people that used to be in the 25 or It's kind of like that, you know, when they did the top 50 NBA players or whatever, like a million
Mike,
years ago, and now
Mike, like,
you
I'm
visit
so
that list.
yeah, I'm so happy he made Daytona because it's like for me, he needed Daytona
Yeah,
to like cement that like because it's like I've been saying it since Hell Hath No Fury, but
right.
Daytona is what kind of like cemented it, and it's like, see, I told you guys, like like if you know is like low key one of like the best like trap records ever.
Hey, man, I personally like the games we play, but all right. People like Bun B have been in like that top 25 ish realm. So would you put Pusha T above Bun B?
Yes,
I would too.
but I would still have Bun in there. Bun's still gonna be in there. It's
Top,
probably gonna be on the, but I'm gonna have Bun there.
uh, all right. I think Bun. All right. When you think,
Might be 25, like Mike. It might be 23, 24, 25, but I'm
who do
probably
you,
gonna
all
have
right.
Bun.
Well,
Bun
talking
does
about
trap
Bun.
music.
Who's your top five Southern MCs?
My
Is
top five.
Bun in that?
Yes, because it's actually like Southern MCs. Ooh, is he in that? Because I mean, it's Andre Big Boy and CeeLo for me. Like that's one, two, three.
Right.
That's easy. And then I'm going Face after that. And fifth would be between Ti and Bun B for me.
I got T.I. over Bun. I mean, the work itself.
I mean, I would probably have to. I think trap
Where
music.
does Luda fit in all
I
that?
think
Does he?
as much as I hate to admit it, I think trap music is probably better than Riding Dirty.
Could
Ooh,
be.
ooh, Mike, that's a great post. That's a great post. Riding Dirty versus trap music.
I
Because
think you and I see trap
Mike,
music very differently.
hold on. I love when I think about two albums and it makes me think I need to go listen to those albums back to back. But trap music, off the top of my head, I would probably lean towards trap music over Riding Dirty. So if you wouldn't have put Ti over Bun in that fifth slot, I would take that. But Tip would be six without question after that for me.
I'm with Just Mark, man.
Hold on. Oh my God!
Number one.
Hold
Scarface is
on,
definitely number one in the South.
hold on. I don't even want to be funny. It's like Wayne, like Cats is probably tripping that we ain't even bought up Wayne. So no, Bun's not gonna make the top five because like the Carter 2 is better than trap music and Riding Dirty for me personally.
So, ho. So you think Wayne's better than T.I.?
That's probably the closest thing that I'm probably gonna get to a wash.
A
I think
lot of people feel like Wayne is better than T.I. I personally
I
think,
think Wayne's a better. I think Wayne's a better like when he starts spitting
of course.
like hold on the Oh No joint on the Carter 2. When Wayne does shit like that, he's one of the greatest MCs that ever lived. And I don't know if I can say that about Ti's peak. So I'll say Wayne's peak is higher than Ti's peak, but I think Ti is the more consistent artist and lyricist for me personally. Because Wayne says a lot of shit like for me that it's like I know other cats dig it, but I'm like, but what did he say?
Exactly.
And when Tip is talking shit, I understand the shit that Tip is talking. Like when
Exactly.
on check
That's how
running, like when Tip is talking shit like he is on check run it, and he's not even the MC that he was like 5 years before that. It's like though that he's saying something though. Like listen,
I feel. I
yeah.
feel the fact that people want to talk about, real G's moving silence like lasagna. I'm like, honestly, what the fuck does that really mean?
No, that's a great bar, but I
It
mean like
really,
I mean
I
that's
don't
like
think that's a
that's
great
hold on, Mike, that's not better than Jada Kiss's like y'all gonna give me my ass cap or get your ass cap. Like so many dudes have done great bars like that. That's not like like people think that it's extraordinary because a southern nigga like rhymes like that. It's like I don't think it's extraordinary. Like Wayne can rhyme his ass off. I found that out on the Carter 2. That's why the Carter 2 is so great.
You know what? I don't think that bar is legit because it doesn't work in all phases. And not to get stupid nerdy about it, but lasagna doesn't move. It only works if all those pieces work. Kind of. All right.
Okay,
Let's look at like what Jay did on
hold on, Mike. Let me back up right quick because
Go ahead.
I'm a word guy and I'm a writer, and you know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect what he did with it because when he does stuff like that, I can see the writer in him.
All things have to work, though.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the writer in me.
but when the writer in him shows itself and it doesn't show itself with frequency, that's one of those things that lets you know it's like he's got gifts. And the reason why people stick to that line is because it gives validation to those people that think that he just says a lot of nonsensical bullshit.
I mean, this is the thing, though. When
It's a
you're,
great line, Mike. It's a great line.
uh,
You
I
don't
think
think so?
I think it's great if everything works. Like as a writer,
What's everything working? Because you're a writer too.
everything working. All right, this would be me saying everything. Let me pull something up real quick because I don't want to misquote anything because I have been drinking a bit. But let's see.
That's cool, Mike. Give me like 10 seconds though, because I
All
got
right, now, this is what I'm thinking. Like, all right, I'm
Mike,
straight off the block.
Mike.
Hold on. Hold on.
Go
Let
ahead.
me go.
No, run it, run it. You want to know what? Run it. I'm gonna take this in a
I'm
second.
straight off the block like a running back. Get it, man. I'm straight off the block. I could run it back, nigga, because I'm straight with the rock. All those things work. If we're talking about I'm straight off the block, or I'm straight off the block as a running back, I'm straight off the block as the block in Marcy, or I'm straight with the rock like Rockefeller, or I'm straight with if you give me the ball, all those things work. There are no holes.
Mike, we just did this the last time we got together about the ghost face thing. That's Jay. How many guys can rhyme like Jay, like Nas,
I'm just
like
saying though,
Ghost,
if
Mike, like
people
Pac,
want to put
like
Wayne up
Rakim,
there,
like no, like that's why when dudes say like is he the greatest ever, it's like no, like because I get what you're saying when you say that. What I am telling you is that for a generation of people that didn't grow up in the same culture of lyricism and even like top lyrical Jay like we did, we have to understand a lot of people know we know Jay from Reasonable Doubt. These cats know Jay from the Blueprint. These cats know Jay from being with B. Like that's a different world. Even the guy that's on the Blueprint, that's a different world. That's a different guy. He talking about can't even steal on a nigga. Motherfuckers will sue. That's not the nigga on Reasonable Doubt. The nigga on Reasonable Doubt's about to put a couple in your ass.
I'm just talking about being able to put together lines that don't have holes. It's almost like, you know, when you're writing something like,
Jay, you're complaining. That's why Wayne's not the best, because when you start comparing him to guys that do stuff like that, it's like Wayne don't have no 99 problems in his catalog, and I don't even know if that's one of Jay's 5 best songs. I don't even know if it's one of his 10 best songs, Mike. And
no,
Wayne don't have no 99 problems in his
that's
catalog. Mike, give me like 15 seconds. I gotta just take care of something right quick. I'm coming right back though. I gotta just like literally 15
go ahead,
seconds.
go ahead.
Yeah, family still, you know. All right.
But yes, we got Scarface. Well, I got Scarface as number one in the South. My top 5 in the South. I'm going Scarface number 1. It's tough to put Andre at number 2 because he has no solo works, but I say Andre, CeeLo, T.I., Big Boy-esque. Because we can't ignore T.I.'s catalog, man. T.I.'s catalog is super legit. And even though everybody might not agree with the fact that he calls himself the King of the South, he actually worked for that title. And he went for that title. So, but yes, he greets his father with his hands out. Man, those lines give me chills, man. Jesus. But yes, the real G's moving silence like lasagna. I think it's an overrated bar, personally.
Mike, I heard that. I'm coming back. It's not overrated.
It's an overrated bar, man. Because it's not that nice. It really isn't, man. Real G's moving silence like lasagna. Oh,
I mean, I don't think like Mike. Let's
you know what I'm saying? Like the G. All right, obviously the G in lasagna is solid,
You're
but
bothered by this.
it's not. It just doesn't flow right to me. You know how when you write a sentence, and you're like, something in here doesn't sound right. Let me rework this thing.
Yes, I do that all the time. I'm
And
notorious for that.
that doesn't, and that's how that bar sounds to me. Real G's move in silence like lasagna.
Okay, so
Huh?
so this is what I mean. Like it gives credence to the fact that he's great, but he's not all time great. So here's what I'll tell you: if somebody like Black Thought or Nas writes that line, they probably write it over 2 or 3 times.
They write it differently where it would
That's
sound.
what I mean. They write it 2 or 3 times until it's like I knew I was on to something with it, but let me make it work all the way. He's not that
Mm-hmm.
guy all the way, but I know he's not that guy all the way. That's why I'm not running around calling him the greatest, and that's why when you're asking me who my top 5 Southern MCs are, it's like I damn near got the 5 or 6 before I was like, oh shit, like Wayne.
I think T.I. is better than Wayne because sometimes when you don't attempt all these metaphors and punchlines, you don't come with all these whack ass bars. You don't
I
come.
I like Ti better than Wayne personally, but I don't know if Ti is better than Wayne. Like that fifth spot that you're talking about. I heard you talking that Andre shit too, Mike. Oh, he doesn't have enough of a solo cal. Got a lot of nerve, Mike.
He
There's
does.
enough shit. There's enough shit. Like there's enough shit on the Outcast shit to make him the greatest MC in Southern history, with the exception of Scarface. And Scarface would be the only guy that I would put ahead of him. Like to this day,
That's
Scarface is
just
still the
because
only guy.
honestly, that's just because there's a lack of lyricism in Southern MCing. But honestly, and you know, I'm not a super T.I. head like that. And Andre is my favorite rapper growing up. If somebody wanted to pose an argument that T.I., based on his work as an individual, was a better individual or more qualified person to be on a list than Andre, I couldn't even refute it, honestly.
So
I know who I like to listen to
hold
more,
on,
but
I'm about to say in that regard, Mike, like Black Thought, Q-Tip, and Andre are kind of in a similar boat.
not. Because these
Don't
guys have
don't
songs
don't
with
say
3
that.
verses. He doesn't have a song with 3 verses. Ever.
They don't
Ever in
have.
his whole career.
Hold on, Mike. That's because they never had anybody like Big Boy rhyming next to them consistently. That's why Dre don't have 3 verses, because you can't get 3 verses on a record when you're standing next to another all-time great MC.
He has a
We
solo
can't.
album.
We can't. Like
Not act like he doesn't
Mike,
have a solo album.
Mike. Big Boy is like Scottie Pippen.
I don't even want to go there. Big Boy's nice. I think,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like Mike. How about this? Like Mike. Like how about this? Scottie Pippen's game has traveled further than Michael Jordan's game in terms of the versatility and how it transcends to today's game. Same thing could be said about Big Boy in relation to Andre. Big Boy shit's carried farther in terms of what he's offered. And stylistically, what you see and hear from Southern artists, if you take Young Thug out of the equation, it leans itself more to Big Boy than
You're
Dre.
proving my point. Big Boy's actually the better solo artist than Andre is.
We don't even know if Andre's not a solo artist, Mike. He don't have no
So
solo.
then we can't even put him on solo lists.
I can say the same thing about Black Thought and Q-Tip, really.
No, we can't. They got solo hits.
What?
Well, Black Thought. Well, you wanna go with Q-Tip or we wanna go with Thought?
Q-Tip made Vibrant Thing and Breathe and Stop. Everything else is tribe related as far as hits.
I mean, Bonita, he's the only nigga rapping on there, and he produced the record.
What's the name of the album, Mike?
I mean, it's basically his album.
People's Instinctive Travels.
That's his album.
I mean that, but that's funny. That's
3
funny.
verses on that album.
Mike, when I used to work at the record store and I used to catalog that album, it's funny. I used to put it in T and not in Q because it was a Tribe Called Quest.
That, you know what, I will go out on a limb right here and say on May 16th.
Q-Tip's better than Andre? Do you have Q-Tip higher than Andre on your all-time list?
I don't rank Andre, man.
You don't rank on no.
He
Then you
I
can't
rate
rate Thought or Q-Tip.
Outkast.
You can't rate Thought or Q-Tip. Like, because even that's what I'm saying. Even
Got solo works. I can.
not hold on. Not that's gonna lend them. Not that's gonna lend itself to them being one of the greatest MCs ever. Unless,
Well, no, no, no.
hold on. Unless in Q-Tip's case, we're literally talking about Bonita Applebum and Get a Hold from Beats, Rhymes, and Life, which you know is my favorite Q-Tip.
No.
Like, that's my favorite Q-Tip song.
Okay, all right. Let me rewind. People Instinctive, Travels, blah, 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 dot, dot, dot. That was the first album
That's
to
the first.
get my mics in the source. It's
Correct.
pretty much a Q-Tip album.
I don't
El
think
Segundo is just him.
I think that it got a lot of credit for being different, but I still don't think that album is that great, Mike.
I think that people feel that way because of what Tribe became as a collective.
People's Instinctive is overrated, and the Low End Theory is underrated, and Midnight Marauders is rated. And so it balances itself.
Everybody knows that the Low End Theory is their best album. I think everybody knows that.
No. Know that. They don't know that.
Well,
like, I know
Fife had a verse.
If you put a post up and put Midnight Marauders versus Low End Theory, Midnight Marauders going to win because of Award Tour.
That's a good one. I'll do that.
I'm telling you, Award Tour and Electric Relaxation changed the scope of their career because it made Midnight Marauders their seminal album and not the Low End Theory like we know that it is.
Luckian, solo record for Q-Tip. After Hours, solo record for Q-Tip. Footprint, record for Q-Tip. El Segundo, solo record for Q-Tip. Public Enemy, solo record for Q-Tip. Bonita Applebum, solo record for Q-Tip. Can I Kick It? Oh, Fife's on that one. Okay, cool. He got a verse. Youthful Expression, solo record for Q-Tip. Rhythm, solo record for Q-Tip. Mr. Muhammad, Fife's on there. Ham and Eggs, there. Fife has like 3 verses on this album. Let's be honest.
Mike, do you think that he did that album alone, or do you think they all helped and contribute to that album, even though he was the voice?
I think he did that album alone. He produced this album. He did.
Mike, you want to know what? Mike,
Mike,
you know I have a friend who grew up with them. I'm going to hit him up tomorrow, and we're going to find him.
I want to know.
Jarobi is I got a guy that's from up there that grew up with them. Jarobi is his homeboy, and they still talk. Like, they still post pictures together. He just went up there and seen them. They was posted up. Like that nigga was hurt when Fife died. Like, because he knew Fife like that. Like, I'm going to hit him up and find out.
I feel like I don't think
I may even ask him to jump on or something like
that would be great because I have questions, and
Big Daddy loves Diesel. Big Daddy loves Diesel. I don't need you on Mike's side. He said people's Instinctive.
It's the truth. Solo record. Fife has 3 verses. And Q-Tip produced the whole album.
Mike, I don't think People's Instinctive is that dope.
It's great. I love it.
Cool. It's dope. It's not that dope. It's not that 5 mic dope that y'all be talking like. It's not that to me. The Low End Theory is that to me.
Tribe dropped classics in a row. Boom.
Outkast.
I think the
Outkast actually dropped 3 legitimate classics in a row. Not like that. Like, I don't like.
I've never seen a member of a group carry a group in the way that Q-Tip did.
Mike, you want to know what's crazy? That
Michael Jackson.
I used to like Mike. You know that knowing you and the fact that you think that album is a classic solidified for me that album is not a classic because you're like 2 or 3 years younger than me, and I thought that the reason that I didn't feel like that album was a classic is because it was dated to me a little bit. But you're telling me that it's a classic, and it's not, because the Low End Theory and Midnight Marauders are a classic, and the first album is just a really dope album. Like, if we're source rating it, it's like a 4 going on a 4.5 Mike album.
But you know what?
4.5. Not even 4.5.
it got 5 out the gate, right? Because they didn't know what
Let
the
the rhythm hit
had.
them. Let the rhythm hit them's not a 5 mic album either. And I love
I
Rock
think that was just out of legacy, man. I think they did that because
Oh,
they didn't have an opportunity to rate paid in
the
full.
God. Race the
And
God. Yeah, you
yeah,
get the Race the God. I
yeah.
mean, Mahogany and In the Ghetto is on there.
No,
Those
no,
are
I agree. No. I feel you. But I think that was more
it's
so because, like I said, they were
yeah.
giving him 5 for pay because they weren't around to rate paid in full. You know what I'm saying? I
Or
think
Follow the Leader. Or Follow the
yeah,
Leader.
I'll follow the leader. So that was kind of like retribution.
Hey,
But
Mike, there's too much DJing on Follow the Leader.
I think so too. I agree with that. I
Like
think follow
lyrically, like
the
he's
leader.
actually better. You know what? Him and Nas
I was
suffer from
about
the
to say
same
that.
thing. Him and Nas suffer from the same thing. He's
I was about to say
actually better on Follow the Leader as an MC, the same way Nas is better as an MC on
that.
It Was, but it's not quite the same
No,
because
it's
the
not.
moments on the first album, even though the guy is better, are more
I,
breathtaking than the first album, and that's why the second album still doesn't.
it's the song.
When I listen to Microphone Fiend, like how about this? When I listen to Microphone Fiend and Follow the Leader or Lyrics of Fury, I'm like, that's the best motherfucker that ever did it. And then I go listen to It Was Written, and I listen to like Take It in Blood and Silent Murder in the setup. I'm like, no, that's the best guy that ever did it. And there's nothing on Illmatic or Paid in Full that really necessarily makes you feel that way, which is crazy.
The songs are better. I mean, just the
But the
songs.
songs are
That's
better.
yeah, the songs are just better.
Like New
Um,
York State of Mind's better than everything on It Was Written, but everything on It Was Written is lyrically on par to New York State of Mind.
those are things that are beyond the writer's control, right? Like this is about producing and not beat making per se.
Hey,
This is about producing.
it's Steve Stout.
Yeah. Um, all right, this is the thing with the Tribe record, right?
He was.
Like
Did you see? Hey, Mike, did you see Steve Stout on First Take blowing it real big like a couple months ago? Like
I
he's
saw
doing stuff.
of it. I know.
He's doing some stuff for the Knicks, man. Like I mean, like he choked it up, and I was like, man, that's what you get. And like when he was up there
Oh,
choking.
Alden was like, he doesn't represent us or some shit.
Yeah, like when he
Yeah.
was doing that, like, I was watching him blow it live. Like the hip hop fan of me was like, "That's what you get for putting track masters on It Was Written, you motherfucker." Oh.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
old track masters.
I mean
But
that shit too. I mean that
but
shit.
yeah, man, I think that all right, this is the thing with Tribe, right? When they came out the gate, it was so different, it was so dope. They didn't know what this group was going to do. And this is how great Q-Tip is. Q-Tip was like, you know what? What I'm doing right now is some weirdo shit for me. Let me do something that gets the whole group incorporated. And so he produced the Low End Theory, and Fife fell right in and sounded way more in place than he did on the first album. Because a lot of those records, I couldn't hear Fife on. I couldn't hear Fife on the Luck of Lucien. I couldn't really hear him on El Segundo, honestly. So what Q-Tip did,
I can hear him on El Segundo,
yeah,
maybe,
possibly.
possibly
But
50-50.
what Q-Tip did, though, he went out there and neutralized his production and made it where they were a group now. That's what was so dope about that. Because, like I said, the first album's like a Q-Tip solo album. He's like, I'm just making shit I like. I can rhyme to it. But the next time around, it was like, okay, well, we're a group. We got to make sure we make shit that everybody can rock to.
Hey, Mike, here's the thing with Q-Tip and Black Thought, though. They're not as influential to their culture or their genre or their area or their region the way Andre is. And
I just,
Andre got them in spades in that.
well, I think that
Nope.
Andre's effect came later.
Mike. Q-Tip didn't change the scene in New York. He didn't change the scene in Queens.
I disagree
He
with
did, he didn't, and Black Thought didn't change the scene in Philly because Philly is mostly hardcore, like East Coast gangster rap shit, and they actually a lot of the time do that shit just as well as the New York cats, and then oftentimes better in the case of like Siegel and Cassidy and Meek and some other guys at times.
Well,
Like
see,
no, Mike, but that's what I'm saying though. Like when we're talking about like the legacy of it, like part of what hurts Q-Tip is not only like the lack of solo material, but like it's like where he's from. He's from where Nas, Cool G Rap, and LL Cool J, and like 10 other legendary MCs who have catalogs that exceed his are from. Like
Well,
Prodigy from Mobb Deep has more great verses than Q-Tip, Mike.
we're looking at Q-Tip as an overall artist. At least I am. So
Oh, so
Q-Tip,
you're talking the producer,
he
and
created a subgenre.
talking about
You
the
know what
producer.
I'm saying?
So you're talking about the producer as well.
Yeah. And we're talking about Dilla. We're talking about the Roots piggyback